Hi guys, so we have this question on complex numbers. Let's break it down in parts so that everything makes sense. So let's go ahead. Show that the sum and product of a complex number and its complex conjugate are both real, but the difference is complex. So let's say the complex number is z. So let's say we have the complex number x plus iy. So the conjugate of this complex number will be x minus iy. So we've been told to say the sum and the product should give us a real number, while the difference should give us a complex. So let's start with the sum. So for the sum, this means that we're saying z plus the conjugate. Let's see what we get. So this is x plus iy, and we're adding this to x minus iy. Now clearly this cancels this, so this means that z plus the conjugate is equals to x plus x, which is 2x. So this shows that the result is a real number because all the imaginary part has cancelled out. So for the product, we're going to multiply the two. So we're going to multiply z by its conjugate. So z is x plus iy, like this, multiplied by x minus iy, like that. So z times the conjugate, x times x gives us x squared, x times negative iy gives us negative ixy, and iy times x gives us a positive ixy, and lastly iy times negative iy will give us a negative iy, and this will be squared. So if I reduce this, first of all, this cancels this. This gives us x squared minus, so since we have I squared, then inside the bracket there we'll have a negative 1, which is I squared, then the y squared, like this. So this will just be x squared plus y squared. And clearly you can see that this is completely real because there's no imaginary part. So now let's talk about the difference. So let's see if the difference gives us a complex number. So the difference, this means that we're saying z minus the conjugate. So that is x plus iy minus the conjugate, which is x minus iy. So z minus z bar is equals to x plus iy minus x. So negative gives us a plus iy. So the x cancels the x. So this means that we'll only remain with iy plus iy, which that will be 2y with the I. And this is completely a complex number, or rather an imaginary number. If z is equals to x plus iy, show that the absolute value of z is equals to 5, represents a circle centered at 0,0 with a radius 5 units. Then we have to sketch. So now to start with, we've been given the complex number z. So I can write it as z is equals to x plus iy. So to find the modulus, or the absolute value of z, this will be equals to the square root. The real part that we have here is x. So we'll say x squared plus the imaginary part is y. So y squared. So this means that the absolute value of z is equals to the square root of x squared plus y squared, like that. So if that's the case, we've been given to say the absolute value of z is 5. So we can say since the absolute value of the absolute value of z, let's do this properly. The absolute value of z is 5. Then let's substitute. So this means that 5 is equals to the square root of x squared plus y squared. So if I square both sides of this equation, I'll have 5 squared is equals to x squared plus y squared. So x squared plus y squared is equals to 25. Now, clearly, this is an equation of a circle with radius having 5 units according to this, also according to the statement we've been given. So the radius is 5 units. So if you look at our Argand diagram here, we can simply say this represents the imaginary part of the complex number, and this represents the real part of the complex number. Just write like that. So our center is at 0, 0, which is here. Then we can say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is our 5 here. So this is 5 positive. Then going downwards as well, this is 5 negative. So I can say minus 5. Going in this direction, 5 is here, negative. And in this direction, 5 is here, positive. Like that. So we're going to draw a circle with 5 units, meaning that it's going to pass through all these 4 points. So touching all those points, we're going to have something that looks like this. So if you look at this circle that we have, we can clearly see that the radius is 5, simply because from the center all the way to this point, the radius here is 5 units, and it's the same on any part. So this is how we're supposed to represent the circle. So how can you prove that the sum of the nth roots of unity is 0? So to start with, the nth roots of unity are the solutions to the equation z to the power n is equals to 1. That is, z to the power n is equals to 1. Now, where z is a complex number, of course, so we can write this in polar form. And this written in polar form, first of all, we can say this is z being equals to 1 raised to the power 1 over n. So using de Moivre's theorem, then this means that zk is equals to cos 1 over n multiplied by the theta that we have, then plus sine I sine 1 over n multiplied by theta. So this is if you apply de Moivre's theorem, because we know that this is given by cos theta plus I sine theta raised to the power 1 over n, like that. Alright, so now we know what our theta is. Since the complex number is just 1, so that is in the completely positive x-axis, which is just 2 pi. So we can say zk is equal to the complex number, cos our theta is 2 pi, and this is multiplied by k, because we know that it can be a multiplier, plus I sine 2 pi k divided by n, like this. So if this is z, we know that this is for all k is equals to 0, 1, 2, 3, it goes on all the way up to n minus 1. Now, in exponential form, zk can be written as e raised to the power 2 pi ik divided by n, like this. So that's how we present it in exponential form. So this means that to express the sum of the nth roots of unity, the sum s of the nth roots will be given by the following expression. So sum of terms, we'll just use s for sum, like this. So this is equals to the summation. So k starts from 0. Then this is all the way up to n minus 1, like we said there, so all the way to n minus 1. So this is for zk. But we know that this zk, we've written it in exponential form. So from k is equal to 0 all the way up to n minus 1. In exponential form, that is just written as e to the power 2 pi I k divided by n. All right. So now we're going to say this sum is the sum of the geometric series. Now, since we're using the sum of the geometric series, we can find first the first term as well as the second term. That will help us to find the value of r. So the formula for the geometric series sum, since we have the summation, the formula is given by s is equals to a, open bracket, 1 minus r raised to the power n, and all this is over 1 minus r. Now, this is the formula we're going to use to prove that is equal to 0. But to start with, let's find the first term and the second term. The reason why we wanted those two terms is because we need to find the first term, which is a. Then we also need to find the common ratio. Now, the common ratio is found by saying the second term divided by the first term. So let's start by finding the first term first. So the expression that we've been given is e raised to the power 2 pi I k over n. Now remember, since it's the first term, then this means that our k value is 0. So if k is 0 for the first term, this means that this will be e raised to the power 0, meaning that our first term is 1. So we can say first term is 1. Now, if we divide the first two terms, our term 2 will be e raised to the power 2 pi I, then I replace k with 1 divided by n. Now this whole thing is divided by the first term, and remember the first term, we just found that the first term is 1. So since I'm dividing by 1, it means that the common ratio is simply e raised to the power 2 pi I divided by n. All right, so now that I have those two, I can go ahead and substitute in the formula that we have. So the sum. So now let's do the substitution. We can say that s is equals to, we have our first term, which is 1, and that would be 1 minus r raised to the power n. Now remember, the r, which is the common ratio, we have it already. So I'll write it as e raised to the power 2 pi I over n, and this r is raised to the power n according to our formula there. We can do it like this, and all this is divided by 1 minus r again. So this is e raised to the power 2 pi I over n. So s is equals to, so in the numerator there, we can say that, we can say open bracket 1 minus. So what will happen is that this n here and that n cancels out. If that happens, then the only thing we'll remain with will be e to the power 2 pi I, like that. This is over 1 minus e to the power 2 pi I over n. All right, so now if you want to understand how to break down this part, we need to first look at what it means. When we say e to the power 2 pi I in polar form, this means that this is cos 2 pi plus I sine 2 pi. Because the angle given there is 2 pi and I because it's a complex number. Then this means that e to the power 2 pi I is equals to, now cos 2 pi is 1 plus I sine 2 pi is 0. So this means that e to the power 2 pi I is equals to 1 plus 0, which is just 1. So if that's the case, we can now go ahead and substitute and say this will be equals to, so open bracket, we have 1 minus 1, because e to the power 2 pi I is just 1. And this, of course, is over 1 minus e to the power 2 pi I divided by n. Now, 1 minus 1 is 0. So that will be 0 divided by 1 minus e to the power 2 pi I over n. So this just means that the whole thing is 0. Hence, this shows that the sum of the nth roots of unity is simply equals to 0. So the sum is equal to 0, as expressed like that. So this is how you show that the sum of the nth term of unity is equal to 0.